signature presence is as a coach, you know, so how you will be as a coach, because each of us will be different. What we would like to do at this point is for you just to take a moment and just to write down on it. I hope you have paper and pen in front of you, just to write down what your intention for this webinar is. So what would you like to get out of it? And I'm going to write down my own intention for this webinar too. And the reason we're asking you to do this is that we want to ensure that your needs are met over the next half hour. And that if you're coming in with questions, that they're answered, or whatever your intention is. Just take one moment to do that. Okay, so what we're going to do over the next couple of moments is I'm going to share a bit about the programme outline, so what our diploma looks like. And then I'm going to hand over to Eileen to talk a bit about what your journey might be like on the programme. We'll take some questions then. Eileen is then going to talk a bit about what makes our programme different. And then we are going to invite Felicity and Pio to come in and have a conversation with Eileen and I around what their journeys were like on the programme and maybe what advice they would have for anybody embarking on this coaching diploma. So let me tell, is that okay with everybody? Eileen, if I've forgotten anything, just jump in, or Caroline, if I've forgotten anything, jump in. No. So the programme is a 14-day programme, and Pio and Felicity, you'll notice that's different. It was a 16-day programme, but the programme from October is a 14-day programme, which is more in line with the other diploma programmes that are happening in Smurfit. The number of people, we'll have up to 24 participants. So we generally have between 20 and 24. In terms of participant profile, people come for loads of different reasons to do this programme. Some people are coaches already, but would have done their qualifications a number of years ago. Some people are purchasing a lot of coaching in their organisation and want to know what they're purchasing. Others are coming towards a third act or a next stage of their career, and they're wanting to think about maybe incorporating some formal coaching as part of that offering. And others are responsible for a lot of HR practices in an organisation, and again want to understand what coaching is more formally, or they may be responsible for introducing a coaching culture into their organisation, which we're seeing more and more of. The thing that brings all of our participants together, I think, is that everybody has an interest in people, and they may find themselves coaching on sports teams, or being the person that people are approaching, you know, for the cup of tea or the cup of coffee to have a chat about things. So they generally find that they're actually good listeners already, and they have an interest in supporting others. I think that's a big thing that people come to this program with. The big thing I would say about this program, and Eileen's going to go into a bit more detail on the journey of it, but we have 6 workshops. The first 2 workshops are 3 days each, and the remaining 4 are 2 days each. We hope to be in person, COVID permitting, you know, that's our intention for this program. The tutor team is Eileen and I, and again, we'll be supported by 3 or 4 coach tutors who you'll meet at workshops 1, 2, 4 and 6. And what makes this program different is that a lot of our work is experiential. So when you come along to the program, you will have done your pre-reading, which we send out 2 weeks ahead of the program. And when we're together, we spend our time coaching. We don't do any role play. And Eileen, I might be jumping in saying a bit about what you were going to talk about later on. But the big format, I guess, is that if you're doing this program, you need to be present for the 14 days, because when we're together, we're coaching. And that'll either be in small groups or in large groups. It's practitioner based, as I've already said. We have a strong link with the Emcc, which is the European Mentoring and Coaching Council. And again, we would talk in more detail about how you get accredited with them, but the program is accredited. And there's a high tutor support, and again, high supervision support, which we'll talk about as well. Eileen, can I hand over to you to talk a bit about what the journey might be like for somebody embarking on the program?
Lovely, absolutely. Thanks, Pam. Thanks. So Yes, so as Pam has said, a very overview of it. The programme is delivered over a series of 14 days involving 6 workshops, and it's generally within a 12-month period by the time everything is complete. And again, given the participative nature of this programme, we really are encouraging participants are required to attend all 6 workshops. So along with the full attendance, you'll also have 6 assignments, 2 of which are going to be group assignments and 4 of them are going to be individually assessed. So just giving you a brief overview of what would be involved with regard to the assignments. The first 2 assignments are designed to broaden your academic knowledge. So we're really encouraging you to read, research, critically evaluate all of the various different models, concepts, coaching theories that's out there. So we really want you to go out and just broaden your knowledge on the academic side of things. The third assignment is very much focused on the practical skill of coaching itself. So you will be required to submit a 10-minute recording along with a transcript and commentary. The fourth assignment is a reflective practice journal. And this is focused on capturing your own personal journey on the programme, looking at it through a particular lens that you've chosen. And you'll notice throughout the programme, reflective practice is very much at the heart of the programme. So this particular assignment is weaving through all of the various workshops. The fifth assignment is again focused on the practical side of it. So it will involve your 90 hours, submitting 90 hours of pro bono coaching. And we can go into this in a little bit more detail, but literally after workshop 1, you will be out straight away and coaching, looking for coaching clients and commencing your coaching. So assignment 5 is the submission of your 90 hours log of these coaching hours. And the final assignment, the 6th assignment, is a group presentation on workshop 6. So as you can see, there is a lot of learning in between the workshops. And what we do to support you in this space is that you will be assigned into specific learning groups. So these are much smaller groups, maybe made up of 4 or 5 participants. And you will meet in between the workshops. And this is to support you with your reading, your assignments, your looking for your coaching clients, and just general personal support in between the workshops. And certainly past participants feel this is a very pivotal support role throughout the whole programme. We also have supervision for you, and this is again to support you as you develop your skills as a coach, and also a place for you to bring your clients. So you may be, have challenges with regard to clients with your pro bono coaching. So this is a space for you to bring yourself as a coach and your clients. And as Pam has said, Pam and I are the main tutors, but we'll be joined by 3 or 4 coach practice tutors for workshop 1, 2, 4, and 6. And again, this gives you the opportunity to practice in much smaller groups and to get live feedback on your coaching skills. And of course, all of this will be taking place in the beautiful setting of UCD campus. So those of you who have studied here before can really appreciate the beautiful, tranquil setting. Those that are joining us for the first time, you're in for a wonderful treat. It really does support your learning environment, getting you away from the busyness of the day-to-day activities. A beautiful, wonderful setting. So that is just a very broad, quick snapshot of your journey with regard to the actual work involved, the commitment involved on the programme. Pam, is there anything that you feel that I have left out, or is there anything that you'd like to add with regard to the journey?
Not at all. I think it was very well explained. I'd love to could we take a pause now to see if there are any questions emerging for people at this point, just to pop them into chat if there are.
And I might just interject there because I
Please
didn't
do.
set up the Q&A feature properly. So
Okay.
I would ask those that are on the line to use the chat feature down the bottom, because all of us this morning can see what people are putting in the question. So I know Lisa and Kerry kind of pointed out that I've got difficulties putting in a question. I do see one in the Q&A. Can you provide insight on who in general are the clients? So
The coaching clients.
yeah, so Linda's
Yeah.
asking that question.
Yeah, so it's a great question. When we get together in workshop 1 and when we form learning groups, we go through the process of finding clients. So the one big rule in coaching is that you can't coach your friends or your family. So we encourage the learning groups to support each other. So say I'm in a learning group with Eileen and Caroline and somebody else. We would all go out to our networks with a short bio about saying, I'm doing this coaching program. I need to do 90 hours coaching. Is there anybody that you can suggest that would like coaching? Is there anybody that would like coaching? And so say 5 of my contacts come back and say I'd be interested, I would pass them on to other members of the learning group. So that's the big thing, that I can't coach, my own close friends or family. But we talk about that in great detail actually in workshop 1. And I guess so coachees or clients would come from a wide variety of backgrounds. And if you're doing the program, we would encourage you to coach as many different types of people, different ages, different industry backgrounds, industry, social enterprise, different organizations. So clients can come from anywhere. And again, there's a mix of virtual and in-person work, and we'll talk about that as well when we meet.
There's now lovely. There's a plethora of messages coming in here. So hopefully, Pam and Eileen, you can see this too. But Deirdre asked a great question around, do learning groups typically meet in person between workshops? Because obviously she's based overseas.
So I'm happy. So with the learning groups, initially prior to COVID, it was a case where the learning groups really paid attention and focused on getting together face to face. Obviously, since COVID, everybody's behavior has changed and people are more comfortable in actually using the different platforms. So it would be decided amongst your learning group. In a lot of cases, people are spread all over the country, so it's just not feasible, let alone international. So it's not feasible necessarily to be able to meet. But sometimes they would organise that maybe the day before the workshop, where everybody would actually be in Dublin, that they'd organise the evening before, or maybe during one of the evenings of the actual workshop, because people do feel that they get more if they can even have one session every now and again of the group meeting together. But certainly it can be over the internet.
Great. And do you see the questions there, Pam and Eileen, around the assignments, just to reiterate which ones are the group ones, and also can the 90 hours extend beyond year 1?
Yeah, so the just on the assignments, and so the group assignments is the second one. So there's a group assignment from an academic perspective. It's a critical evaluation on books, and the very last one, which is a presentation, a group presentation. So they're the 2 group ones, and the other 4 are the individual assessments. Yeah,
and the 90 hours. The 90 hours need to be done within the year. You have up to a month after the program finishes to complete those 90 hours. And again, we talk about that a bit when we start, about kind of encouraging you to get up and running pretty quickly, maybe doing 2 coaching sessions a week from the very get-go, so that you get your hours clocked up.
And Kerry asked a question there around, sourcing the pro bono hours. Do we provide help with finding coachees?
We do. Yeah, we absolutely do. So we do in the first instance through the learning groups, but equally there are other sources of pro bono coachees, so including some of the other programs that are happening in Smurfit. So we do provide support, and we really want everybody to get through this. So we really support this the whole way through,
Yeah. And you'll be surprised for the person that asked that question. So the coaching program is one of many programs that we run in Smurfit Executive Development, and people are only delighted. And it's a great opportunity for us to go out to those that are studying on the Advanced Management Performance Program or Business Finance, that this is something that they can avail of. So I don't think anybody will struggle. And please, if they are struggling, that they can reach out to their program manager and say, could you put a message out there? We also have 90,000 people in our business alumni network, and obviously we have people only down the corridor, that are doing the executive MBA and the full-time MBA. So I don't think you'll be found wanting for a gene pool of pro bono coachees.
And I just
The
see one
Emcc.
last question
Yeah.
there on the MCC. Yeah.
Eileen, do you want to take that or will I?
Yeah. So the actual course, as Pam said earlier, referred to it earlier, the course itself is accredited as with the EMCC at senior practitioner level. But you as an individual won't be accredited. So the course is. But what we have is we have a fast track. So at the end of the program, if it is a case that you felt that you actually wanted to get accredited, because you've been on the program and the program is accredited, it's a very straightforward process with regard to you applying to the EMCC and getting your individual accreditation. So again, Pam and I will go through this in a lot more detail, but just to give you an overview that there is a fast track. Once you've completed the program, there is a fast track for you to get accredited individually at a particular level.
Lovely. So I see that Pio and Felicity are joining us, are they? Guys, if you're there, I'd love to see you, or if you can.
Sure, I'm here, but unfortunately having technical difficulties with my webcam, which naturally leaves it down when you need it most.
Yeah.
No worries.
No problem. But it's lovely to hear your dulcet tones, Pio.
Thank you very much.
And Felicity, it's lovely to see and hear you. How are you?
Good morning, everybody. Great. Well, very good. Very good.
So, Eileen, do you want to ask the guys some questions around their experience on the program, maybe? Would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose really from a participant perspective, it would be good to hear your own, a sense of your own journey and what is it for you that made this program different, or the impact it has had on you since you've completed the program.
Because everyone can see me, I feel I need to go first. So anyway, thanks, Pio, for having a wonky camera this morning. Okay, so lovely to be here. Yes, and it was lovely to be asked, because it actually made me go back to my reflective assignments, Eileen and Pam, which was the most wonderful thing, I think, of this this program, because it comes at the end, and before you even start it, you think, I'm never going to be able to write that. But no, just to kind of tell you, I suppose my journey, I was when I decided to do this program, I was at a crossroads, I think, professionally. I am an operations director in an SME, but I've been doing that for probably about 10 years. So I kind of felt that I really needed to step up. And I am working in a leadership development practice, but so surrounded by coaches, surrounded by consultants, etc., etc. So I really leaned into my curiosity. I think it was sparked because I had been influenced, but I never thought it was for me. And I just decided that I would take that leap of faith. And I professionally decided that I just wanted to do this. And that's why I decided. But I suppose, you know, at the beginning, and I laughed at this when I saw it last night, I said to myself, how can it take a whole year to become a coach? You know, I just didn't get it. And I think then, you know, obviously the 12 months, it takes 12 months and it takes a whole lifetime to develop yourself as a coach, to be honest. But the program initiates that in such a good way, in such a way that I think for me it developed a great new awareness about having coaching conversations that have impact. And it you know, in terms of even dealing with people one-on-one in a working environment, you know, and having a team around you and coaching that, you know, as well. So it was a real, you know, awakening, I think, for me in terms of what coaching is and how much more it is really than what I expected. So that's my starting point anyway.
Lovely. Thanks, Felicity. Welcome, Pio. We can see you here.
Finally, I managed to get my webcam to submit to my authority here, so that's progress. Lovely to have a chance to chat to everyone about this program this morning, and hopefully I can offer some help in people making their decisions about it, or perhaps in being more assured about facing into the program. I guess in response to your question, Eileen, there's a couple things that come to mind. Firstly, like Felicity, I think I was at a crossroads as well. I've been doing my then role for the previous 8 or 9 years. I was just doing the same thing and over again. And in the hot heat of a global pandemic, I decided I wanted to do a master's. And I think that's the first thing that's probably important. When I would look around for a master's to do on a part-time basis, and I'm saying this as someone who works in another university, then the gold standard really is UCD. And that was something that for me kind of drew me towards the MSc program in particular. And then when you look at the 10 diplomas that are on offer within that, then the one that stood out for me, kind of out of nowhere for me, was coaching, once I looked at all. And I had a chance to talk to Pamela in advance of deciding to do the program. And I guess from that conversation and from events like this, it struck me that actually that coaching intervention is such a critical part of business, but more so it's such a critical part of a person's development. And to have the opportunity to coach someone is really putting a metaphorical hand on their shoulder and giving them something that they actually have within themselves, but which they might not be able to reach without that hand on their shoulder. And I guess that to me really feels like a powerful thing to be able to offer to another person. Doing the program certainly is a challenge in many respects. Anything that's worthwhile is, I would say. And at the same time, it was probably one of the best experiences of my educational life, and beyond it as a professional, one of the best experiences. Felicity and I would have been in the same cohort of students, and I think we would agree that it was a really lovely bunch of people. We never got to meet each other until the final workshop because we were working on Zoom, and yet we made some amazing connections with one another, and it was obviously expertly facilitated by Pamela, Colm, Eileen, and others at the time. I guess in conclusion, in terms of just your question, I suppose the value I've got from it at this point is I take a different approach to management myself personally. I'm much more focused on others and on their needs than I would have been before that, even though I thought I was a good manager. Is there such a thing? Who knows? And I suppose secondly, it has afforded me the opportunity within the organization I work in to change roles. And I'm now actually, since Monday, in a full-time coaching and mentoring role with leadership development and that kind of thing thrown in. So very excited about that. It wouldn't have happened without the diploma in coaching at UCD. So very glad to be able to speak on its behalf.
Congratulations on your new role, Pio. That's fantastic.
Thanks, Pamela. Yeah, delighted.
Yeah. There's a question coming in there from, I see on chat, I don't know if it's from Sean or somebody else, around the challenge of doing this program while working full time. Would Pio and Felicity, would you be able to kind of respond to that? Because it is a challenge, isn't it? There's a lot of work involved. But I don't know, maybe if there's something that's coming up for you around what you wish you'd known at the beginning, or how to plan for that, kind of fitting it in with a full-time role. If you'd be happy to respond to that.
Yeah, I can start. I mean, I think that there is, and it's very much presented to you, even in your pre-decision conversations that I had anyway with tutors in the course about the commitment that's required and about the timing. But I think that and it was a bit scary, to be honest. It was very daunting when you get your plaque and you see all these assignments and 90 hours of pro bono, et cetera, and even getting the client relationships going, etc. But I think for me, I think it's to have that sort of belief that it will emerge, you will find the time, because honestly, once you start looking into this area, you will be intrigued, you will be fascinated, you will be wanting the knowledge. I mean, I couldn't believe myself at the weekends, taking out articles, and all my kids were kind of going, where's mom? And I mean, I was just enjoying the process so much. I didn't, and that's the thing. I think it gives you this yearning for more, knowledge. But getting the stuff done, I mean, the support group that we had, the learning group, we called it our Wednesday learning group. We met every Wednesday online, actually. I know people asked about meeting in person. yes, you can, but honestly, the value of it online was very, you know, focused, and that support group was in you know, such an important piece, and it gave you the scaffolding that you need as you go through the program, and the reassurance, and just the level of, you know, we're all human, you know, so like, you know, we all have lives here, so let's be human about this. So I hope that helps to answer the question.
And maybe just to add to that, from my own perspective, I always found preparing for workshops and reading the material that you needed to read, and doing the assignments largely quite doable. Where the challenge can be for some people is fitting in the 90 hours, and that's just, I suppose, just being perfectly upfront and honest about it. I do recall from the group that we were working with at the time that everyone got there in the end. What probably changed along the ways was the level of panic you experienced at various different stages, and it's like, oh no, I'm not going to get the 90 hours. But invariably, everyone got there, and then some along the way. And I do recall as well, there was a couple of people in the group who had kind of life events that occurred during the time where they had maybe, I won't say a big trip because it was during pandemic, but where they maybe were in hospital for a little bit of time, not because of the program, but for other reasons, and they still managed to do 90 hours. So I suppose the point I'm making is, it seems daunting, it is an undertaking, but it is utterly doable.
Thanks, guys.
And I think Pio's being modest because Pio's on his second program with us. So we haven't broken him. In fact, he's an addict now and he's back studying part-time with a program that has a hell of a lot of pre-reading on it. So doing something right. But in all seriousness as well, just from our point of view, from the team that are behind the scenes, you know, after we close the door on you and you're in the classroom with Pam and Eileen, if something crops up, extenuating circumstances happen, and we've been there long enough that we know how to support people, and people might wobble and think, oh God, I can't do this. And, you know, and if you can't do it for various reasons, we will make sure that, you know, we come up with a plan B. But the one thing I will say is that when you come on the campus, you're greeted really warmly by all the members of our team, and we'll facilitate you to the best of our ability. So that covers, like, your parking is covered, your dietary requirements are met. If you need pen and paper, if you need the use of the bike lockers, the shower facilities, a quiet space in a breakout room to take a call, you know, there's nothing that's, you know, too small of an ask. You're part of the Smurfit community, and that even extends to the Belfield campus. You're part of the UCD community, so you're a fully fledged student. So it's about kind of nearly throwing yourself into it and spoiling yourself, because this is not something that'll last forever and ever and ever. It's a 12-month program. But you know, when you come into the Smurfit building and you see the grounds and the walks and the food, and there's the smiling faces on the corridors, everybody is kind of just behind you going, it's brilliant, you know, it's brilliant to be in the corridors. So rest assured, you know, anything has been thrown at us and we'll help, even around the accommodation. If you're traveling to the program and you need help, you know, we have relationships with the hotels in the various areas. So ask us, because we'll help figure it out for you.
Thanks, Caroline. Eileen, I just wonder, in terms of drawing to a close, I'm wondering, we were going to look a bit about what the outcomes are like for people on the program. And I guess I'd love if you could talk about it and bring Pio and Felicity in as well. And
yeah, lovely. Pam, I just feel it's important. There's two things maybe just to emphasize before we go into that, and I'd just like to touch on, is what makes this program different.
Yeah.
And to me, I suppose it's just to recognize that this program has been running since 2007, so over 15 years, and this will be the 26th cohort that we'll be introducing in October. And I think what is really important to note that the original design 15 years ago has still held. So it's very much built on 3 pillars: one of business mindedness, the second of the practical coaching skill, and the third one is the psychological dimension. And to me, and I know Pam, I'm speaking for both of us, what makes this program different is the psychological dimension. So we focus very much on supporting our participants to coach at a much deeper, profound level with their clients by the time the program is finished. And to enable the participants to do this, they go on their own personal journey throughout the program, learning so much more about themselves. And this, as Pam said earlier, this can involve bringing yourself fully to the program, and this can be a challenge. The second part, I think, that really differentiates this program is the emphasis on the practical skill of coaching. So throughout each of the workshops, we have a huge chunk of time whereby you will be coached by your participants, your peers, and you will be coaching your peers. So you'll be in the coach chair, getting live feedback continuously with regard to your skills, but you also will be in the chair for the duration of the program, for you having the opportunity of being coached. And again, you know, to be able to be a top coach at the end of the day, it is about understanding yourself so much more. That practical side, along with the 90 hours. So not alone are you getting the practice in the workshops, but it's also outside the workshops. I think for me, they're the two things that really stand out. Pam, is there anything that you want to say that?
I really need to mention Gestalt, don't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please do. The door is open.
Felicity's nodding her head there. Will I get you to explain what it is? So Gestalt is a school of psychology of coaching that this program is kind of grounded in. And we will talk about Gestalt from the very first day to the very last day. But really it's about really understanding your own life script, where you've come from, how you've learned to be in the world, and to really pay attention to others and where they've come from and how they learn to be in the world. And understanding that each of us has different perceptions on the same thing that we're looking at, depending on where we've come from. And to have kindness and compassion for ourselves, and that I think is the big piece that we spend a lot of time on. And that might sound relatively simple, but actually there's a whole lot of work behind it. There's quite a big school of work behind it. And we spend a lot of time really slowing down. That's the other thing in this program, that we slow down to really pay attention to ourselves and have contact with ourselves and how we're experiencing the world, and paying attention to our colleagues. I think that's the big thing that people notice on this program. And workshop 1 and 2, sometimes people say, come on, speed up a bit. You know, why are we going so slow? But we're going slow to really notice what's going on for ourselves. And I think that does make this program different to any other program that I've done out there. Certainly, yeah.
Lovely, thanks, Pam, thanks. So maybe just to touch on the outcomes, Pam, what do you think? Do you feel
that would be wonderful?
There's a question there. Just with regard to the spelling, yes, Gestalt, Gestalt. So, Felicity and Pio, I'd love you to hear, but just generally, there's what we generally hear from people at the end of the program, that everybody has a really sound understanding of the theory and practice of coaching. And you'll have the competence and confidence to be able to really coach at an advanced level within your organization, and in particular with senior executives. From a professional perspective, people report about the ability to motivate and communicate with their teams more effectively, better decision making. You know, they're being able to manage stress, conflict in work, all of these day-to-day skills. They really feel as if that they have a different approach with them. But I think the one thing that participants at the start of the program often underestimate really is the personal development and the increase in your own self-awareness, understanding more about yourselves and the impact you have on others. And of course then, as Pio and Felicity have referred to, is the close network of coaches who have journeyed alongside of you throughout the whole program, and really strong friendships have formed and are there long after the program has finished. I think, Felicity, Pio, is there anything that you'd like to add with regard to your own outcomes from the program?
Sure, I'll go first then on that. I guess you know, everything you're saying kind of resonates with me very strongly. I would have gone into the program maybe, I guess, with an expectation that I would have got through it, you know, fine, and I did ultimately, but I found it challenged me in ways I was not expecting, and those challenges actually really kind of woke me up a little bit, to my own potential in some respects, and to just my way of being, and also maybe my way of doing. I got a lot of that from maybe the facilitated discussions during the various different workshops, but very often by the kind of practice sessions that we did all the way through, where you come to it with a real problem for the purposes of the other person, you know, to coach you. And within it, you just garner so much insight. We don't really get time to do that in life, I guess. So this was a platform by which we could do it. And I guess by the time we got to the end of the 6 workshops, I really felt I had just a completely different attitude about my own place in the working environment, as well as probably lots of other things around even personal interactions and so on. So that definitely happens. I mentioned earlier just the manner in which I suppose I relate to others now has also transformed. I would say maybe it might be too strong a word. I would have had a tendency beforehand to kind of rush in, to fix, to kind of intrude on maybe another person's difficulty. And I guess I learned the skill of sitting back and waiting and giving person the space to come to their own solutions, or to find a little chink of light that they can latch onto that actually allows them to find a way through whatever difficulty they're trying to deal with, if it is indeed a difficulty, or whichever opportunity they're trying to take advantage of. And you know, the confounding thing is sometimes the thing you do in a coaching interaction seems so simple, and it is, but to be able to do it good, you need to give it time and practice. And if you do that, then the benefits are actually quite amazing, you know, in many different ways that are very hard to describe.
Lovely. Thank you, Pio. Felicity, have you anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think
outcomes for you.
Everything Pio says has resonated with me. That whole piece, I think, around thinking that you have to, well, first of all, the speed, because I'm definitely one that does things at speed, and I embraced that silence so well. And I always remember my last coaching session, actually, I think, Eileen, you were there, and I was astounded at how brave I was in terms of holding that space, you know, and that courage was built in me throughout the whole program, which, like Pio, you really don't know what's going to come out of you, right? And how you're going to emerge at the end of it. So that was really enlightening, I think. And I think also around that, in terms of coaching others, I think having the courage to go there, to lean in, to deepen the conversation, because it's always, well, easy-ish to sort of keep it, you know, at a certain level, but it's leaning in, and that is what I think I found that I had the courage to do that at the end of the program, which was wonderful. And to be honest, the privilege of the self-development is what I came away with, and the pride. I think I was very proud that, you know, that I allowed myself, because it's very easy to sort of, you know, maybe choose the easier path. So it was really rewarding for me in terms of development in that regard. So thank you for reminding me.
Lovely. Thanks, Felicity and Pio, and it was an absolute pleasure to be on the journey with you both. Pam, is there anything else that you feel, or is there any other questions maybe?
I'd love to just see what questions are coming up for people, and I really want to say thank you to Felicity and Pio for being here, because Eileen and I can talk about it, but it's your experience that really means a lot and will resonate with those thinking about coming on the programme. So thank you so much for giving your time. We appreciate it.
Now, just to interject there, Linda did have a question about participants that go on to complete the MSc in Business and Executive Coaching. So, I mean, Eileen, I know you have. And from kind of a sales point of view, we don't put any pressure on people to jump into the second stage or the third stage. So you can, we talk about this 5-year ideal timeframe where people, and that's an ideal time frame, but it can often take people an awful long time to move to the advanced coaching program, and it runs kind of nearly every 18 months with Jeff and Jenny, and then the team coaching program will run on hopefully a 12-month kind of basis, so you'll pick one up, but there'll be a natural break in the cycle where you can kind of draw breath, practice, maybe people have changed things around. But so from a logistics point of view, to the person that asked that question, we can plot out that journey for you if you want. But maybe from an experience point of view, Eileen and Pam, how do you see people, moving on after this program?
I think everybody goes at their own rhythm. I think you're absolutely right, Caroline. There's kind of a natural break for some people, maybe to get more experience or to really jump into their coaching practice. And then they'll maybe choose whether they want to do the advanced first or the team coaching first, depending on what they do in their day-to-day role or where their real grow is, I guess, or where their real love is. Yeah. So I think having the 5 years to complete it is a lovely time frame. Some people do it quicker or take that time. Yeah.
And just and I'm not slowing down like Felicity just spoke. I'm hurrying up there because the ideas are coming to me. But the opposite of that question being the MSc in business and executive coaching, just for those that are on the line, the opposite of that is the MSc in business leadership and management practice. So this program also fits into that pathway, which and PO is on that journey now. So you do 3 diplomas out of a selection of 10, and you're awarded a different MSc at the end. So you can go the whole journey on the coaching kind of realm and do the MSc in business and executive coaching, or you might decide to mix and match between corporate governance, leadership and coaching, or corporate governance, sales and business finance. So if anybody's kind of mulling that over, again, all of these are standalone diplomas in their own right, fully accredited, postgraduate, level 9, 30 ECTS credits, but when you add 3 of those together, you get 90 credits, which is your award. And it just depends which stream. But myself, Leah, Maria on the team will help anybody with that. And again, we can plot them out for them. So just to kind of get that out there in case people are wondering, what is this MSc that these people are talking about?
Yeah. Lovely. So I guess any final questions before we close? Would that be okay? If there's anything unanswered. So maybe if people just check what intention they had coming into the session and what maybe questions they had, and don't go away with unanswered ones. And if there are no more, Eileen and I are always happy to have conversations with anybody offline as well, as is Caroline. Yeah,
absolutely. So to kind of to allay any concerns, here we have a question here about, Declan was asking the question around pre-reads, when those will go out.
2 weeks before each workshop. So yeah, so that we give plenty of time for people to do the pre-reading. Yeah.
And Yvonne has a question there around how to get fully accredited with the Emcc.
Again, it's a very simple process post-program. It's literally, Colin, Eileen and I did a lot of work about 2 years ago with the Emcc to fast track this for you. So what happens is by doing the program, it meets a lot of the criteria to become fully accredited. So it's a matter of filling out a form at the end and having 100 hours coaching done. So you'll have your 90 and you can count some of the coach practice hours from the program towards your 100. So it's filling out the form, and Eileen or I will liaise with you around that. So it's not onerous at all.
And just to answer that question, in case there is a concern there from people that are on the line that we are seeing in October, myself or indeed the program manager for this program will be in touch just to let everybody know we haven't forgotten about anybody. It just kind of goes quiet once you've gone through the decision to take part, you filled out your application form, you've got your invoice. There can be a little bit of a lull, but nobody's forgotten about anybody. It's just that back to school kind of fever this week with programs settling down. But I'll reach out to anybody just to make sure that they feel that they're definitely counted. We do have limited places remaining. That's not a sales pitch. The class size is capped at no more than 24. So I think we're probably at the point where we've got 14, 15 bookings in and confirmed. So we've got 10 places left, a good few weeks to go, and we can't take the bookings up until the last minute, but I can't promise availability. We will soon be setting dates if we don't already have them for next year. If people need a longer time period to mull this over. So it happens at least twice a year, typically October and March. But there's a full team in executive development to answer any queries. I'll do a nice wrap-up email after this to let people know exactly what dates we're talking about, exactly the kind of assignments that we reference. I mean, there's hundreds of alumni now at this stage, and they are one of our most engaged kind of cohorts, where people come back and say, I'd be happy to have a conversation. So if people want to talk to somebody in their field or outside of their field, just reach out and we'll connect the dots, and people are great at having those kind of chats. Yvonne's asked a question there about a logistics question around days of the week. So these are weekday sessions.
Yeah.
And again, I'll specify exactly which Wednesdays, Thursdays, or Tuesdays and Wednesdays they are, Yvonne, after this email, or after the session.
Lovely.
So yeah, I think it's left me wanting to be in the classroom as opposed to being a corridor down the road.
We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you.
Well, thank you. I mean, thank you to everybody. So thank you to Felicity and Pio in the first instance for joining us today. It's absolutely great to hear your firsthand experience, and you're still smiling, and it didn't send you over the edge. And it's great. And to Pam and Eileen, obviously it's super to work with you guys. You're very much part of the fabric of executive development, not only teaching on this program, teaching across our customized portfolio and our short courses. This is a plug, Coaching for Impact at Work, a lovely 3-day program for those of you that are maybe members of your team might be interested in a short, sharp burst. So I will include details of that in the email afterwards, but it's great. The smiling faces, the sense of, yes, if you are a little bit jittery and you haven't been on Zoom like I have, and there's probably technical difficulties and I don't even know it, but it's great that everybody joined in and participated, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Lovely, and thank you,
Caroline.
Caroline.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I'm going to end now. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a million.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.